Okay, so you've been working on Reaper a while, you've managed to put in maybe 30 or 40 tracks even, and your CPU is starting to get maxed out. What can you do about it? In this video I'm going to show you how to measure which tracks and effects are using up the most CPU and how to reduce it, so stay tuned. Okay, so looking at the screen you can see I've got a Reaper session open. It's just a real basic track here. I've got a couple of guitars, MIDI drums and a bass. So here's what we have. There you go, you get the idea. So it's a pretty basic track, it's not too CPU intensive, but in your project you may have dozens of vocal tracks, synths and all kinds of effects that will really run down the CPU. What we can do to reduce this load is to go up into View and then Performance Meter. So you can do Control-Alt-P or go through the menu here, and that's going to show you each of your tracks in Reaper and which ones are using the most processors. You can see here track 6 is using 11% of your CPU here, and looking over at the effects you can see I've got quite a few different bits and bobs going on there. I've got a compressor, I've got an amp and some other stuff, so you can imagine that's going to use up some processing power. But what can we do to actually reduce that down? I'm going to actually bring that down to 0% usage, and that will be by right clicking on the track in Reaper and then going to render/freeze tracks, and we're going to render that track to mono stem. So what that's going to do is actually hard bake those effects into our takes. So you can see for this track there's quite a lot of dead space at the start. It's because it's just the lead track, so it's just the solo halfway through the song. Okay, so that took about a minute to process. So that's created an extra track in the project. You can see there I've got the grey one that is the new one, and then my old green one here which has been muted now, and it's got all the effects on it still. But now looking at the performance meter, we've got 0% being used. If I unmute that green track, it's going to zip back up to 11%. So I'll mute that one for now. I've not lost anything. I've still got my original track. Just soloing out that new track, you can now hear it's got the effects hard baked in. So the reverb, distortion and whatever is on that track, but it's now using 0 FX CPU. Obviously if you've got a lot of tracks using a lot of CPU, this is a great way of freeing up stuff. I've not lost anything. I've still got my original tracks. If I decide I want to go back and reamp it or anything like that, I can come in here, open my amp and just change the presets. Then I can go through the same process again and render it out to hard bake those effects back in again and free up some of that CPU space. There you go, thanks for watching. If you found the video useful, then do please give us a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.